I've been jobless for half a year, wandering daily in search of work, only to face rejection after rejection. The bank debts pile up like mountains, and every night, watching my child sleep, I cry, unsure of how to feed them tomorrow. Our small house is on the verge of foreclosure, and my family is about to end up on the streets. My mother called asking why I haven't sent money home, and I could only hang up and sob uncontrollably. I once dreamed of buying a house, but now I'd settle for a janitor's job just to survive. It feels like the whole world has turned its back on me, and I'm left with no shred of hope.
China's collapse. A nation betrayed by a paper tiger. China, once heralded as the world's economic juggernaut, now crumbles under the weight of its own lies, exposed as a hollow shell, a paper tiger devoured by its own corruption. Barred from exporting to the United States, the nation plummets into poverty, its people trapped in a suffocating web of deceit spun by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. Behind the glittering facade of prosperity lies a grim reality: counterfeit goods, toxic food, and a collapsing economy. The question burns. Was admitting China to the WTO a catastrophic blunder? As fake gold and poisoned seafood flood markets and hundreds of millions of jobs vanish, the Chinese people awaken to a brutal truth. Their suffering stems not from foreign tariffs, but from the CCP's rotten governance. Welcome to China Undercover, where we rip away the veil of lies to reveal a nation on the brink. The specter of poverty haunts China, mocking the CCP's claims of 5% GDP growth. Ordinary citizens choke on despair as businesses collapse, real estate implodes, youth unemployment soars, and household budgets shrink to nothing. The U.S.-China trade war, escalating with no end in sight, has gutted the export sector, leaving small and medium-sized businesses in ruins. A factory owner's voice trembles with rage. I shipped $500, 0 cents worth of goods to the U.S. only to be slapped with $700, 0 cents in tariffs, 5,000 yuan lost plus 1,000 yuan in shipping. How can I survive? Online, some shrug. If America won't buy, let them go. Others, parroting CCP propaganda, blame the U.S. for China's woes. But the truth is uglier. The U.S., with its unmatched purchasing power, was China's lifeline. The real culprit? The CCP's systemic rot, bleeding the nation dry through corruption and mismanagement. China's rise was never its own. The West, through the WTO in 2001, opened its markets, flooding China with capital and technology. It became the world's factory, but at a cost: exploited workers, ravaged environments, and wealth siphoned by CCP elites. Despite decades of growth, millions earn less than 2,000 yuan, $277.00 monthly, with many below the World Bank's 400 yuan, $55.00 poverty line. The 2024 World Inequality Database reveals a grotesque truth. The richest 10% hoard 68% of China's wealth, while the masses drown in rising housing, education, and healthcare costs. Savings? A cruel joke. P2P lending scams like Ezubao, petted by local governments, vanished billions, leaving citizens penniless. The stock market, a rigged casino for insiders, obliterates small investors. As economists in The Essence of Poverty argue, poverty thrives on lies, and the CCP's censorship ensures the public is starved of truth. Was letting China into the WTO a historic mistake? Counterfeit goods, tainted milk, gutter oil, plastic rice, flood global markets, poisoning consumers and distorting trade. The trade war isn't just tariffs, it's a reckoning for the CCP's flagrant violations of WTO rules. Professor Yu Yang, former People's Bank Governor Xi'an, and economist Zhao Shao exposed the root: the CCP's chokehold on enterprises, fueled by subsidies, forced tech transfers, and protectionism. The EU Chamber of Commerce's April 2025 report slams the Made in China 2025 strategy for crushing foreign firms with monopolistic tactics. Huawei's global dominance, propped up by CCP loans, exemplifies this unfair edge. The U.S. Trade Representative's 2018 report details billions lost to China's intellectual property theft. Peter Navarro's Death by China lays bare the CCP's playbook. illegal subsidies, currency manipulation, environmental destruction, and predatory pricing to monopolize markets. Toxic drywall, contaminated fish, and fake medicine endanger lives worldwide. While China's mercantilist wall blocks foreign firms, the trade war, bolstered by U.S. alliances with Japan, South Korea, and India, seeks a fair trade order, but at what cost to China? The human toll is apocalyptic. Experts warn of 60 million job losses, with over 100 million gig workers uncounted in official data. Xi'an Chen of National Taiwan University calls it a social tsunami. The CCP's softened rhetoric betrays its panic. It knows it cannot win. Vice President J.D. Vance's April 2025 India visit, cementing a U.S.-India trade deal, signals a strategic blow, with India poised to eclipse China. Netizens lament, if America stops buying, our economy collapses. A young worker's despair echoes, I work endlessly, buried in debt for a house, car, and medical bills. My life is over. What's the point of this poverty? Another scoffs. Ambition makes you a failure. No debt, no house, no business. I'm free. These voices, wizened by betrayal, reject the CCP's propaganda, heralding a generation that sees through the lies. Even food is a lie. Chinese seafood, a staple, is a toxic sham. Bloggers expose crabs injected with egg yolks to mimic richness, catfish raised in fetid ponds with cow manure and birth control pills. Turtles are pierced with needles, dosed with yellow dye to pass as wild. Snails and shrimp bloated with chemicals deceive buyers. Internet celebrity Xin Jifei's 2022 Douyin videos reveal crayfish soaked in corrosive oxalic acid, once used for toilet cleaning. Hairy crabs are pumped with rice porridge and urea, solidifying into fake roe. Frozen shrimp, half ice, rot beneath additives. Fake scallops, costing mere cents, yield 60% profits, while golden abalone is just snail meat in shells. Sea cucumbers dyed black mask their true nature. Is anything real? A blogger cries. Gold, too, is a fraud. A Lao Fengxiang bracelet, cracked open, revealed mud inside. Another, bought for 17,000 yuan, was gold-plated iron. Consumers face arrogant denials. Sue us, you won't win. The counterfeit metal, lie, mimicking gold's properties, fools even advanced tests. The 2020 Wuhan Keen Gold scandal exposed 100 tons of fake gold, securing 25 billion yuan in loans, with CCP insiders allegedly swapping real gold for fakes. In 2010, China National Gold sold rusting ingots. A Shenzhen tourist site's gold boulder was bricks. From seafood to landmarks, China is a house of mirrors. The CCP, cornered by a collapsing economy and rising gold prices, can no longer hide the fraud. Public distrust surges as citizens test their jewelry, unraveling decades of deceit. China's paper tiger is burning. The CCP's lies, fake growth, fake food, fake gold have plunged a nation into poverty and despair. The trade war exposes not just economic flaws, but a regime that thrives on deception. As jobs vanish and trust erodes, the Chinese people awaken to their betrayer, the CCP. The question lingers, is anything in China real anymore? Share your thoughts below and join China Undercover for more unflinching truths. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Beneath the Chinese Communist Party's CCP hollow proclamations of a 5% GDP growth for 2024 lies a chilling truth. China's economy is not merely faltering, it is plummeting into an abyss of despair and chaos. The government's optimistic facade, trumpeted with unwavering confidence, crumbles under scrutiny, revealing a nation teetering on the edge of an economic catastrophe far graver than anyone dared imagine. Experts no longer whisper warnings, they shout alarms of a full-blown recession, with some predicting a descent into a modern-day Great Depression reminiscent of the 1930s. The numbers, shrouded in deceit, tell a story of betrayal, desperation, and collapse. The CCP's January 2024 pledge of 5% GDP growth was met with immediate skepticism, branded as a grotesque fabrication by economists who see through the regime's veneer. Professor Fanya Zhang of National Taiwan University delivers a scathing verdict. The economy is in freefall, far worse than last year, with no shred of evidence to support Beijing's claims. The Consumer Price Index, CPI, a critical pulse of economic health, has stagnated at a pitiful 0.2% year-on-year increase, while the Industrial Producer Price Index, PPI, has plunged by 2.2%, screaming deflation. Goldman Sachs Shanghai paints an even bleaker picture, forecasting a CPI of 0% for the year, a death knell for an economy supposedly thriving. Zhang's voice trembles with urgency. The deflationary spiral that gripped China last year has tightened its chokehold, with data from early 2025 showing no relief. Fiscal revenues, a supposed hallmark of growth, are collapsing, with government coffers hemorrhaging funds. If China were truly growing at 5%, consumption would surge, investments would soar, and tax revenues would swell. Instead, the opposite is true, a damning indictment of the CCP's lies. The job market, once a beacon of opportunity, now lies in ruins. Official figures claim a 5.2% urban unemployment rate in March 2024, but youth unemployment has skyrocketed to a staggering 16.5%, and even these numbers are sugar-coated. The May Day holiday, typically a time of economic vibrancy, was a grim spectacle of cancelled job openings and a paralyzed labor market. Banja Zhang's words cut like a blade. The economy is bleeding out, and the CCP's data is a deliberate smokescreen. Nomura Securities delivers a gut-wrenching forecast. A tariff shock could obliterate 5.7 million jobs in the near term, with 15.8 million more at risk in the long run. The CCP, Zhang warns, is blind to its own economy's true state, drowning in a sea of falsified data. Every department, every region fabricates numbers, leaving the regime itself clueless about the scale of the disaster. Senior commentator Wu Jialong's voice thunders with foreboding. China's economy has already plunged into a recession far deeper than the world realizes. A 2% contraction? A naive underestimate. The reality, he warns, could mirror the catastrophic collapse of the 1930s. Last December, Swiss journalist Matthias Komp witnessed the decay firsthand in Guangdong, once China's economic powerhouse. Factories stood silent, workers protested in droves, and layoffs swept through like a plague. Beijing's response? Not solutions, but repression, tightened surveillance, silenced dissent, and a desperate clampdown on truth. Freedom House reports a 27% surge in strikes from July to September 2024, many erupting into violence over unpaid wages and brutal layoffs. Local government debt, a ticking time bomb, has ballooned to an astronomical 92 trillion yuan by 2022, 76% of GDP, with some estimates suggesting it now exceeds 100 trillion yuan due to reckless borrowing. State-owned enterprises are drowning in over 115 trillion yuan of debt. And exports, China's last lifeline, have collapsed under crushing U.S. tariffs and copycat measures from Southeast Asia to Africa. Wu's warning is apocalyptic. The economy is hurtling toward a cliff, and the crash will be impossible to conceal. The CCP's deception runs deeper than mere rhetoric. The regime has systematically erased critical economic data, plunging the nation into an informational black hole. A May 1, 2025 Wall Street Journal exposé revealed that hundreds of once public datasets, business confidence, cremation numbers, even soy sauce production, have vanished without explanation. Wang Guoqin, a researcher at Taiwan's Chinese Economic Research Institute, told the Epoch Times that the cover-up is even worse than reported. Since March 2025, the CCP has buried more indicators, including private fixed asset investment and the People's Bank of China's monetary policy data. The regime's tactics are threefold: obliterating data entirely, manipulating definitions like revising the M1 money supply to mask negative growth, and outright fraud. Internet personality Xiao Qi, on her YouTube channel Xiao Qi Current Affairs and Finance, exposed the CCP's consumption data as a sham. Even in Beijing and Shanghai, consumption has collapsed, yet the National Bureau of Statistics claims a 4.6% nationwide rise, a blatant lie conjured by fudging last year's figures.